Morning YouTube, it's Jeff Rowthorne here, and I just pressed start on a 100-mile treadmill attempt. This could be my worst idea yet. I've never been on a treadmill for more than 2 hours, and that was brutal. So it's going to be mind-numbing, but I'm going to also be doing movie reviews. I'm going to watch a bunch of movies and give you my unsolicited review. Let's have some fun. So to determine which movies to watch, I decided to Google best rated movies on Netflix Canada and see what came up. So I think this is mostly based on Rotten Tomatoes, but we'll see. I put all the movies into a list on Netflix, and I'm just going to watch them. So the first one that's popping up is called The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, and it says they've lost their funds, their food, their faith, but with a dynamo and a dream, one boy gives his town a miracle. I actually have seen the trailer for this. It looks really good, so I'll let you know what I think. Alright, so I'm 1 hour in, and I'm just stopping at my aid station. You can see I've got all the food groups here. I've got chocolate and peanut butter, got peaches, I have some bananas and apples and sandwiches. Got some smart food. You need popcorn if you're watching movies. And let's see, I've got some Mr. Noodles, lots of these expired scratch. I've got some anti-chafing stuff and Band-Aids. I got a Dwight Schrute bobblehead and a kettle so that I can make some hot stuff in the night. So I think right now I'm just going to grab a sandwich and an apple and jump back on the treadmill. So I'm 2 hours in now, 21K, and I just finished watching The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, and it's such a great movie. It's about a boy in Malawi who, the whole village is struggling, and I'm not going to spoil it, but basically comes up with a creative way to save the village, and yeah, it's a really beautiful story. I loved it. The boy was really well cast. They showed it was based on a true story, and they showed the actual boy afterwards and what he went on to do, and he looked just like the main character of the movie. So that was a great one. I'm gonna rate that 9 peanut butter and jam sandwiches out of 10. It's really good. Oh, and as a bonus, Jeffrey, the butler from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, he was the chief of the town. That was cool. All right, next up, Zombieland. This is totally not the normal genre of movie that I would watch, but I do like Woody Harrelson and Jesse Eisenberg and Emma Stone. So the summary says, looking to survive in a world taken over by zombies, a dorky college student teams with an urban roughneck and a pair of grifter sisters. All right, here we go. So I'm 3 hours in, almost 30K, 29K. It's going okay. One of the things I didn't really take into account is how much I would sweat in there on the treadmill. I don't know, I'm like sweating like crazy, so I'm just gonna have to make sure I take lots of electrolytes, and I don't know, the time's gone by. I won't say it's gone by fast because it is boring on the treadmill, but the movie certainly helps. And I'm in the middle of Zombieland right now, and well, it's interesting. Well, Zombieland was way better than I thought it was going to be. I was actually hooked on it pretty early. Yeah, I mean, like, it's super far-fetched, it's silly, but the scenes with Bill Murray in it That was the best. Bill Murray's awesome. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't really have to say too much about it. It's a classic zombie movie, right? Pretty funny, some real funny scenes. I'm gonna give this one 3.5 scratch bottles out of 5. 3 3/4 scratch bottles out of 5. Approaching 4 even. I'm now almost 4 hours in on the treadmill, way longer than I've ever been on the treadmill. And I'm about to start my third movie, which is Arrival. It says she'll unlock secrets of extraterrestrial language and their message could change her life forever. So I've watched the trailer. It looks okay. I know very little about it and I've heard very little about it. So we'll see. Let's go. It's so hot in here and so humid. The ground has become slippery. And I think I'm going to try to move the treadmill into another room. Well, I'm about 45 kilometers in. I'm going slower than I expected to be going. Actually, the treadmill is showing me further than 45 kilometers, but unfortunately, before I started, I told myself that I would go by my watch, so I can't just go by the treadmill because I like those results better. I feel like my watch is probably the more accurate one. Just enjoying a bowl of Cap'n Crunch. I'm trying to walk as little as possible right now and just even run slow, because I know in the night I'm going to be doing lots of walking, so I kind of front load it a little bit. Get through 50 miles, 11 hours or so, between 10 and 12 hours, and then kind of slow it down after that. So we'll see. That's my plan. Pardon me as I stuff my face with delicious strawberry. I just finished watching Arrival. I really enjoyed it. It was completely unpredictable, in my opinion. A lot of interesting twists. Everything about it was really well done. The acting was great. So I'd say I would give it 8.5 strawberries out of 10. Maybe even 9 strawberries out of 10. So that's good. And I'm at 53 kilometers. I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling tired, actually. I'm feeling really tired. But movies are keeping me going, so let's do another one. I don't know what's next. How about King Jack? Sounds interesting. So I know very little about King Jack. It says, already coping with a bully, a mercurial older brother, in summer school, 15-year-old Jack is saddled with his younger cousin for an eventful weekend. Alright. It only has 2 out of 5 stars in terms of recommended for me, so I don't know. We'll see. It's a shorter movie, so yeah, it's only 80 minutes, so we'll get through it quick. Okay, so I finished King Jack. I didn't love it. If I'm being honest, I didn't love it. It reminded me of a movie that I watched in the 90s called Kids, which I also didn't like. I just have a real problem with movies about like bullies and, you know, kids getting hurt. So it's not that it's a poorly made movie or anything like that. Maybe I'm just a bit too sensitive to that content, so I'm gonna give it 6 sweaty buffs out of 10. 6 sweaty buffs. So next up is The Shape of Water, which I'm pretty excited about. So it says a mute cleaning woman becomes dangerously curious about an experiment being held at the top secret government lab where she works. Looks really interesting. Also, I'm just about at 50 miles now. Around 9.5 hours in. And yeah, feeling okay. Not much has changed. I've been eating and drinking, so I'll keep it up. I just finished watching The Shape of Water, and I loved it. It was a really great movie. I liked everything about it. I liked the way it was shot, the cinematography. It's a real piece of art, that movie. And I didn't think I would like it as much as I did. And I absolutely loved it. Best movie I've seen in a while. So, if I was to try to describe it, there's just no way that I can describe it without it sounding absolutely ridiculous. But essentially, a mute cleaner who works at like a government lab falls in love with a sea creature, swamp monster, and they have like a beautiful relationship. Anyways, I'm gonna give that one 9.5 Apple remotes out of 10. Very good. Next up is the Meyerowitz stories. I think I'm saying that right. Grudges and rivalries abound as 3 adult siblings converge in New York to contend with their prickly artist father and his fading legacy. It's got Adam Sandler, Ben Stiller, Dustin Hoffman, Elizabeth Marvel. Has a really great cast, so I know nothing about it at all. But I'm excited to start it. And in terms of my running, I don't know, no one really cares about that. But I'm 88 kilometers in right now and getting hungry. Just finished the Meyerowitz stories with Adam Sandler and Ben Stiller and Dustin Hoffman. Great cast. Okay movie. Wasn't my favorite, it was good. But, you know, after some of the movies I've seen today, this just isn't as great. It's a little bit like, it's easy to watch. You don't have to do too much thinking. There's some funny parts to it. You know, some dysfunctional family stuff. I'd say I would give it 6 anti-chafing creams out of 10. 7 anti-chafing creams. Which brings up a tip that I have. If you get some chafing while you're running, like I currently have, I get it sometimes under my arms and between my legs. Hot tip here, before you get in the shower, cover it with anti-chafing stuff or Vaseline or Penitin, which is the best, and it'll make your showering experience much better. Because otherwise, I mean, the chafing while you're running is bad, but once you get into the shower, that's the worst. All right, time for the next movie. It's now just about midnight, and I'm 113 kilometers into this, 14 hours and 40 minutes. Yeah, so that's actually decent time. The first 50K was slower than I normally like to be at for 50K. Partially because I was moving the treadmill and, you know, just not really going too fast to begin with. But then from 50K to 100K, I made decent time. I did stop for quite a long dinner break, longer than necessary because I needed some human interaction. So Heather ordered me some delicious pizza and really enjoyed that. I'm now watching Leave No Trace. A father and daughter living in content isolation find their lives and bond shaken when authorities move them back into society. This looks great. This movie looks so good. Has great reviews. I'm totally stoked about watching this one. So looking forward to that. My plan is to probably mostly walk for the next 7K, which will bring me to 120K, and then try to pick it up a little bit to get through what I call the danger zone, 120 to 140K, a little bit quicker. So, you know, hopefully I can get through that in 2.5 to 3 hours for that 20K. So not fast, but faster than what I'm doing right now. So a little bit easy for the next hour, and then I'll try to pick it up. I'm at 120K, so it's go time for me. This is the time where I want to pick up the pace just a little bit because, you know, this is the area where it's easiest to quit. Although I have to say, now for the first time, I know I'm not going to quit. All day I've been like, I don't know if this is for me, but now I know I'm not going to quit. But also, I'm starting to fall asleep while I'm walking. I already fell off the treadmill once, and I hurt one of my toes. So, if I pick up the pace a little bit, it wakes me up. So, that's kind of my goal. I'm going to run a lot more in the next 20K, and then we'll see for the last 20. Anyways, Leave No Trace. This movie's awesome. It's so good so far. Just finished watching Leave No Trace, and I really enjoyed the movie. The ending wasn't my favorite. So it was about a father and daughter. The father is a war veteran with some post-traumatic stress, and basically him and his daughter, it's just the two of them, and they're just wandering around basically, like living in forests, and he's doing a great job parenting and teaching her, but I don't know, I can't say too much more than that. So there's, as a father, you know, Heather and I have 6 kids. This sort of thing pulls at my heartstrings, and there's one line where she's upset because she doesn't want to keep moving on. She wants to stay in one place. And she looks at her father and says, the same thing that's wrong with you is not wrong with me. Which, well, aside from the fact that it's not really grammatically correct, such a beautiful thing. Like, well, it's sad, but it's beautifully put. Anyways, the scenery is gorgeous. I love the movie, but I'm only going to give it 8.5 fuzzy peach slices out of 10. Partially because the ending wasn't my favorite. It made me a bit sad. I like feel-good movies. I know they can't all be happy endings. But the other reason, there's one thing that really annoys me about movies, and that's when there's like obvious product placement in a movie. And in this one, there is the brand Carhartt is everywhere. And I just can't help but notice it, and it kind of prevents me from really putting myself in that situation, or I don't know, I place too much focus on that once I start seeing it. So anyways, So instead of turning on another movie, I'm actually going to do a video game review now. So I got a great new game. I'm not a gamer. Perhaps you've heard of this one. Super Mario Brothers for the NES. Let's play some games. Super Mario Brothers is fun and all, but that's child's play. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. Punch Out. Woo woo! Here we go. Title bout. Big fight, ladies and gentlemen. Big fight. Lil Mac against Bald Bull. Woo. Here we go. Time for another movie. By the way, I'm 130K now. So I've been moving pretty well for the last 10K. It's flown by. So this next movie is called Sicario or Sicario. I know very little about it. It says an FBI agent takes part in an undercover operation targeting a Mexican drug lord. But her ethics are challenged when the sting crosses the line. So when I was looking up this movie, I read something that said, if you know you're going to watch it, don't watch the trailers. So I didn't watch the trailer for this one. But Heather watched it, and she said, yes, I will like it. So, let's check it out. Looks like an action flick. It's rated R. Alright. So I abandoned Sicario after the opening scene. It was like super violent and a bit gory, and just not really in the mood for that right now. Maybe, I don't know, maybe tomorrow, maybe in a few hours, I don't know. Anyways, on to the next movie. Happy as Lazaro. Pure-hearted teen Lazaro is content living as a sharecropper in rural Italy, but an unlikely friendship with the Marquise's son will change his world. I don't recognize anybody in this film, and I know nothing about it. So I'm excited. It's won some awards. Seems like a feel-good movie. Let's see. Would you believe it? I have to abandon Happy as Lazaro as well. It looks interesting. However, it's in Italian. My Italian's a little rusty right now. There weren't subtitles, but even if there were subtitles, I wouldn't be able to read it from here without my glasses. So I'm just going to watch the next movie, which is The Edge of 17. When Nadine's best and only friend starts dating her detested older brother, the teenage cynic's life becomes even more unbearable. Now this does not seem like a movie I'd be interested in. It's got Woody Harrelson in it though. It's rated R. Kind of sounds like a bit of a teeny bop movie, but I'm gonna guess that it's not because it had a really good ranking. Anyways, The Edge of 17. Let's check it out. $140K. Woo woo. I'm telling you, I feel better now than I did at like 50K or 60K. So things are going well. I'm feeling awake now since I've been running a lot more in the last 20K, I guess. It's been mostly running. I feel wide awake, and like I was never concerned about my time. Didn't really think about it, but I'm doing the math now, and I think I'm gonna have a decent time if I can stay awake. So that's cool. Not my best time, but above average, I would say. So I'd estimate if I can stay awake, I should be somewhere around 22 hours. So yeah, I'm happy with that. All right, edge of 17. Well, sucked. Did not enjoy it at all. It was so predictable. That was a waste of 2 hours. Anyways, next up, La La Land. Everybody says it's great. I don't know. It says career aspirations run up against bittersweet romance in modern day Los Angeles as two artists face a heartbreaking dilemma. All right, let's check it out. 147K, 14 to go. Taking a little bit of a walking break here. I've actually been running a kilometer, then walking a kilometer for the last little bit. If I can hold that together for the last 12K, I'll be super happy. But all of a sudden, wheels are falling off a little bit. Body's starting to get tired, but I'm at the point where I know I can just power through this. So it reminds me of a Zoom meeting that I was in on a couple weeks ago, and Jason Koop, who's like the coach, the ultra running coach in my opinion, coaches a lot of the pros. He said basically when you get feeling like this, when you hit that dark place, you just got to muscle through it. You just got to power through it. There's no like magic potion that's gonna save you. That's what kind of separates the people who don't make it to the finish line and those that do. Everybody's hurting, and I mean you've got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable for sure. But when it goes bad, it inevitably will go bad, and when it does, you just got to deal with it. And kind of basically said you got to suck it up. And another thing he told me was in my last 100 miler video, I talked about how I fast for caffeine for 7 days before and how I've always done that. And I asked him about that, and he said, nope, it's not a thing. It doesn't work. He says that's just not, like, he looks at it from the science side and essentially said, that's just not the way it works. Like, you do not need to fast. So I didn't fast really for this one. I didn't have any caffeine this morning or anything, but I did yesterday. So there you have it. You know what I really love about the 100-mile distance is it's such a mystery to me. It's something that I feel like I'll never master. I'll never really be able to be confident going into a 100-miler. And everyone just presents different problems and different learning opportunities. So this one, I've actually felt pretty good for the last 100K. So that's a bit of a surprise because I thought that this would be more mentally challenging than it has been, just with it being on the treadmill. But I've been occupied with the movies, so it's been interesting. This is my 15th 100 miler, and really I just feel like I'm a student of the 100-mile distance, and that's all I will ever be. I just can't see myself getting to the point where I'm like, oh, 100 miles, no big deal. It'll never be like that. And maybe it's good. I have a very healthy respect for the distance. It scares me every time. But it's just such a mystery. Like, you never know what's going to happen. You might hallucinate. You might deal with, there's certain things I know I'm going to deal with every time, right? I'm going to have sore feet. I'm going to have sore knees. I'm probably going to have some chafing. But there's always that wrench that gets thrown in somewhere, and you just got to deal with it. And that's part of what I love about it, just the problem solving aspect of it. So yeah, it's fun. Well, I've got less than 50 meters to go until I hit 100 miles. So it'll be a good feeling to get there. And there it is, 100 miles. You're wondering why I'm not stopping? It's because I'm actually going to try to do 200 miles. I'm just joking. I'm done. That was 90 miles too long. All right, my final review, La La Land. I really enjoyed it. It was a great movie. Beautiful love story. I like all of the scenes and the setting. It was beautiful backdrops and everything. I'm gonna refrain from rating it because I just can't do it justice. Because if I'm being honest, I was so focused on pushing myself to get to 100 miles at the end that I just wasn't really as into the movie as I normally would be. So yeah, I think it's a great movie, but at this point, no rating. I'm ready to have a shower and lie down.